music reminds me of?
You're going to say something about a rave in 2010.
That reminds me of in like the mid 2000s when you would go into Abercrombie to buy clothes.
Oh yeah, kind of. I could see that. A little bit, yeah.
I could just like smell it in my
you could taste the smell.
Yes, exactly.
It does kind of have that vibe. Were you an Abercrombie guy?
I mean, we bought some clothes there. Like, I mean, I think I had a couple sweatshirts and probably some jeans and stuff.
I wonder, are they still around?
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't seen
they had that big massive scandal a couple of years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which was like, yeah. Anyway, totally off topic, but that's what that music reminded me of.
This is how we start our shows. And you'll notice we have a guest today. So we have to be on our best behavior, I think. Otherwise she might just bench press the hell out of us or something. Who knows? But it's Coach Britney, and she Coach, and it is Suplicki, right? Am I saying that right? I don't think I've ever
nailed it.
Okay,
that was
yeah,
really
all
good.
right. So, all right. So Britney Suplicki, you've been with us for how long now? It's been a couple of years. How long officially?
I tried thinking about it, and I didn't actually go check, but I think it's 4-ish.
Is it? It's okay.
In the
so
4-ish range. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it's been a while, so I knew. Well, and you were in. It's definitely been. I mean, I remember you in Vegas. You were there in Vegas.
I can't remember. Vegas, yeah.
Were you in Nashville?
I wasn't, but I was with you then. But
okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's just wild to see, and that's. I just can't keep track of time. Like, it's been the fact that you've been here for like basically 4 years already. Just it blows my mind. Anyways, but we. So Britney is an excellent coach of ours and wanted to come on the show, and I've been asking coaches to kind of, if anyone wants the opportunity to get out there, kind of tell their story about their background and who they are, and just, give different perspectives on how they coach. And that way, anybody that is looking at coach, this is a good way to get to know that person. And if anything, it's, it's an opportunity for us to kind of show our personality as Macros Inc. So I think maybe the best place to start off is just dive into, I mean, I'll let you kind of direct it, but like, tell us who you are, where you come from, what your background is. Tell us, a little bit about Britney Suplicki.
That's like the hardest question to answer, right? Who are you? I don't know. Depends.
Do your best.
Do my best.
These were going to be hard questions. So.
Already starting off strong. And so, yeah, I have, I guess to start, I'm from Buffalo, New York. That's a big, important part of who I am. I don't live there anymore, but I'm a huge Bills fan. So, always requisite to mention that in every conversation.
Do you watch every Bills game?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. It's a culture up there. Good. It's hard to describe. It's different. Like you visit Buffalo and 80% of the houses have Bills paraphernalia outside. I've never been to a city that's that obsessive, but I've been working in this industry somewhere around 12 to 13 years. It's when I reflect back, it's really all I've ever done in my adult life. So at one point I was in business school and I was like, this is kind of boring. I don't want to do this. And then at the same time I started working out and found myself in the gym and got employed there. So I switched my degree and I ended up going through a bachelor's and a master's degree within the field and really had worked, anywhere from a trainer on the floor to strength and conditioning rooms. I worked the NHL Combine one year, which was pretty sweet. And I landed here about 4 years ago, as we mentioned in the beginning, and have been here ever since.
What is your degree in? I guess I didn't know that specifically. So what do you hold?
Yeah, so my master's is in health and human performance, and I can't remember what my bachelor's was, if I'm being honest.
Doesn't matter.
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know. Yeah.
And where do you live now? You said you're from Buffalo, but are you?
I live on the coast of North Carolina now.
Okay. Oh, it's so nice out there.
It is. This time of year is a little, it's not the Northeast, but winter could be better, but in the summer it's great.
So what drew you to this line of work? It sounds like it all started when you were you joined the gym and it all kind of grew from there.
Yes. Yeah. I was an athlete my whole life. And then I lost athletics after high school because I had to work through college. So I lost athletics and I ended up finding myself in the gym probably in a really transitional and hard time in my life where things were not going in a positive direction. So the gym did pull me out of that. It was before women were really lifting weights. So I joined an Anytime Fitness and I would go 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. when there was no one there because of that kind of like gym fear that most of us start with. You would never catch me anywhere at midnight these days, aside from sleeping. But I did that for a while. And so, yeah, I started lifting weights before there was a lot of women there. And I was like, man, more women should really get into this. So I ended up getting my personal training cert, and I just did training through college to work my way through college, and really became passionate about strength training and kind of opening the door to, hey, there can be other goals outside of losing weight. And that's a conversation I probably have on the daily of like, that's our default goal as a society. And that's okay. It can be a goal, but it doesn't have to be the only thing. And at some point you have to move away from that. You can't lose weight forever. That's called starvation.
What would you say is your favorite part about what you do right now? Given your background, given that you're obviously very passionate about it. Yeah. What do you like the most?
I think what I like the most is, especially in what we do here, is we have the opportunity to give people another way, right? A way that's not a fad diet that you do for this season and it's really painful and it becomes your identity, but rather of like, hey, this is a new way you can look at foods, and they're all in your control, right? You can choose to enjoy Christmas cookies all holiday break, and that's okay, right? We know there's a cost to that choice. There's a cost to not enjoying the Christmas cookies too. So being able to open that door and kind of lead people through it of, you can build this life where you do feel more in control, and that's here for you.
As you've kind of accumulated experience working with a wide range of people, you know, in your career before working with us, kind of on the floor as a trainer, and now kind of working with people in a more remote setting, what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned about working with clients, and what are the biggest obstacles you think most people face?
The biggest thing I've learned is everybody struggles more than you think they do. Like a chronic conversation I find myself in is, I wish I could do it, but I have all of these other things. And then you work with the person who has done it, and they too have all of these other things. And, you know, there's that old quote of like, if you put all your problems on the table with everyone else's, you would take yours back, right? You'd be like, man, my problems are awesome. You know, I'll take those. So we tend to kind of look at our situation in this view of, oh, I can't do it because of XYZ. I wish I had this person's. And when you're on the quote inside, as long as I have been, you see people doing crazy things in situations where I'm like, how are they doing that? Like their life right now is the Wild West and they're still successful. And I forgot the second half of your question.
What do you think are some of the biggest struggles that people have?
I think it does. It also comes back to, I phrase it this way a lot of times in kind of conversations with colleagues. We all are guilty of this, of building a life that maybe we didn't intend to build or we didn't want to live in, right? We just, all of these obligations we're saying yes to and volunteering here and spending our time here. And it's hard to look back and be like, is that actually how I want to spend my time? Which is one thing I love about New Year's, because it can be, you can look ahead to the year and be like, do I want to spend my time the way that I did last year? And that can be a way to start to rebuild a life you actually want to live. And it's usually not as simple as like, one day I'm going to stop doing this. But if you're in a job you hate, right, you're running kids to sporting events all over the country, and you're like, maybe that doesn't fit our life. That gives you an opportunity to start to look at that and build the life you actually want to live.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, like a saying I've heard is, you know, the life you want is on the other side of hard conversations. And I think for a lot of people, the first conversation is with themselves, right? Like they really struggle with asking themselves, what is it in my life that I'm willing to just drop to focus on the things I actually care about, right? I think as adults, at least from what I've seen in my own life, is we just accumulate so many responsibilities that we didn't mean to accumulate, that feel like they are like life altering important, but then you're like, oh, well, that relationship, once it was gone, like didn't really change my day-to-day life, or, you know, this extra thing that I was doing, or it's like once you start to like jettison them, you're like, oh, actually my quality of life is better now that they're gone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think, like you said, we accumulate all these things we're doing that we've said yes to, and you just keep doing them because it's what you've always done. And where you want to be is probably on the other side of what you've always done. Because if what you've always done got you there, we wouldn't be in this conversation.
How do you help clients kind of navigate those situations? Right. I mean, and I know every client and their situations are going to be different, but like, how do you help people kind of hold up that mirror and be like, hey, these are the things that you're doing that are holding you back? And how do you kind of help them work through those things?
That's an impossibly hard conversation, right? And not a place you can ever start. You have to be open to kind of learning and helping them figure out what is actually valuable in their life. And it can be as simple as, you state your value is you want to be, so talk identity, right? You want to be somebody who works out 3 days a week, 4 days a week, but you can't get up early in the morning because you're up late at night or whatever that cycle is, right? And the morning time is theoretically what you have right now to give. So now it's like, okay, that person you want to be, how would they treat their nighttime hours? Are they staying up and watching an episode of Netflix, or is maybe that time they're spending could be better spent elsewhere? And you can, I'm going to go to bed a little bit earlier. Now I can get up and start to reevaluate it that way. And the slow and steady of moving you towards the person you want to be. And then the things you were doing that didn't get you there before start to become obvious.
There's a lot of wisdom in a lot of the things you guys just talked about. And I kind of want to back up for a second because I have a question for you that, I mean, I want to get to know the real Britney, right? And one of the things that you said was, and the quote about throwing our problems in a pile, I think it was last week that I mentioned that, or maybe the week before. Like,
did I steal that from you? That's brilliant.
No. But I do love that quote. But the reason I'm bringing that up again is, like, let's be vulnerable for a second. Like, coaches aren't perfect either, right? We all have our problems. So be vulnerable if you can. Like, what are those things that you struggle with? Show that part of you so that people understand we're not without our struggles too. Like, what does Britney struggle with? What are your problems that you're like, man, I gotta fix this, or I gotta solve this?
Yeah, I've had a wildly interesting couple of years. So I was a high level powerlifter for the better part of a decade, and it's hard to explain how much of that life how much of your life that absorbs. So, to put it kind of simple, I trained 10 to 15 hours a week, depending on the schedule. You got 2 to 4 big competitions a year that you're building your life around. Can't travel before them, right? So all travel was based around that. I carried a backpack full of gear anytime I was out of town. I'm still paying attention to food. Like, life was built around that. So it becomes a part of your identity, right? Even if you try to have more than that, try to be more than that. After taking a pretty big back injury a couple of years ago, I worked through most of the pain and was able to return to competition, but never at the same level I was. And so it lost importance to me. And one really hard decision was walking away from that. So I probably stayed a year longer than I should have, reflectively. I stayed in it because it's what I've always done. It's what people expected out of me, right? You've got sponsors that expect that. You have a certain level of expectation. You show up to these events. So I stayed about a year longer than I should have. And I left somewhere around this time last year. I kind of announced to everyone I needed to tell that I was, stepping away, at least for the time being. I never made it a permanent decision, but at this point it is, I think. So that's something I did that I really had to look at very hard. And it was a lot of hard discussions with my husband, with my coach, with various sponsors of like, hey, I don't think this is something I am passionate about anymore, that I want to be or I want to do anymore. And I'm showing up because I think I have to. So that was a big shift for me in life. And then I had to rebuild a section of identity around that then too.
I think that point that you just brought up is really important, because this is something we see in clients a lot is, people often talk about like, hey, you got to change your identity to change who you are. But I think the thing that often goes unstated is there's a huge period of loss. And it's like you have to shed your old identity and you have to find a new one. But in that process, you don't know who you are. And like, that's super scary for most people, right? I think here's an analogy that I use with people sometimes. When was the last time you just sat by yourself in your house, not doing something? Like, we're just sitting there, right? Like, you're not scrolling your phone, you don't have the TV on, you're not reading a book, like you just like sat. It's very uncomfortable to just do that, especially in the modern world. And I think a big part of that identity change is you go through a period where that's kind of what you're doing with yourself as a person. Like, you don't know who you are. You're not the old person, but you're not the new person yet. And you're like, what am I? And I think a lot of times people find comfort in having an identity, so they go back to the old one.
No, I think you're right. I was reading, I forgot who it was, but it was somebody big in business. And he was saying every year he books an Airbnb for 3 nights and just goes and hides out in the Airbnb for 3 nights or whatever, with no phone, no electronics, nothing, and just journals. And I was like, that's an interesting concept, because I'm terrible at always having a distraction. I will admittedly, openly say that. There's a podcast running, I'm reading a book, something is always happening, and I'm never just in a silent space. But there is value in that for sure.
I have a sort of a, it's kind of a random question, but it's pertinent. You said you gave up powerlifting. So my sister was very big into powerlifting, went to junior worlds in Poland. Yeah. She actually took gold in Poland. She did phenomenal. And then she went to Hungary the next year. So she had a lot of success, but she's, how old is she now? 29, I think. Yeah. And she doesn't really powerlift anymore because she's like, my body is like wrecked from it. Not wrecked, but like it hurts. Have you found that powerlifting was hard on your body, and did that weigh at all into your decision?
So, like I said, I took a pretty big back injury. It was pretty significant. It's hard to say that was the fault of powerlifting. I had, nondescript low back pain probably my whole life. I grew up on a farm. I lifted things I shouldn't. I'm a small person, right? So I lifted things that weighed more than me my whole life. But in that way, that took a bit to come back from. I'm very non-permanent on physical things, though. So, just because something hurt once, I don't believe it has to hurt forever, right? So I have a very non-permanent approach to that. It doesn't stop me from doing anything I want to do now, right? I still lift. I worked through it. Some days I'm a little stiffer than others, but for the most part, it's fine.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to dive into was a little bit about your approach to just coaching people in general, and some of the things that you do and the strategies that you employ, and like when you're working with people. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, like, if someone comes to you and they're busy, they're stressed, they feel overwhelmed. Let's say I'm a new client and I come to you, and because it's common, right? People are like, I signed up because exactly that. I'm busy, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, like work is chaotic. I don't know how to handle any of this. What is your approach at that point? Like, how do you take people on and like help them for those first few steps, given that this is such a common, thing people struggle with?
Yeah, probably the most common struggle, right? I think in this industry, we've done a terrible job of making people focus on things that don't matter at all, right? From silliness of even get enough water in. Yeah, you got to drink water, but maybe we don't have to stress about liquid intake, to what about this carb, or what about this food, or what about this meal timing?
For sure.
It goes endlessly, right? So if we can strip that away and we can say, hey, do you think you can get a protein and a produce every single meal? Most people are like, yeah, I can do that. But like, what's the point? I'm like, no, that is the point, right? Okay, we can do that. That box checked. Okay, start there. You think you can get 2,000 more steps a day? You're currently getting 4. Can you do 20 more minutes of walking? Oh, yeah, I think I can squeeze that in, right? I can do that on lunch, or I'll get to the gym 20 minutes earlier and hop on the treadmill. Okay, well, we checked that box then. And then we evaluate, was that working, right? And I think we can get caught up in, well, if I don't track my food perfectly, or if I don't get the perfect 10K steps, there's no point to all of this. And all of my clients have heard this a million times. You only have to be as accurate as you have to be to make progress. If you're making progress, I don't care how accurately you're tracking, right? To be frank with you, don't care. If you're happy and things are rolling along, now we might have to revisit this in the future. Maybe you have some issues that do prevent you from making further progress. It slows down. But in this moment, sometimes you have to let good enough be good enough, and stop using perfect as an excuse to not do.
So you're talking about just like essentially what you're saying is, hey, and this is how I try to educate people before they come on too, because one of their worries is, am I going to be able to do this? I have a very busy life, and like I don't want to like overhaul everything. And I'm like, well, that's the thing. I try to educate people and let them know we're not going to ask you to come on and like drastically change anything. In fact, if anything, I usually tell people, look, first couple of weeks, we're probably just going to want you to like live your life as you normally would. Let's establish a baseline first. I don't know what to tell you to change if I don't know exactly what the problem is or what your life looks like in the first place. So to be honest, you're probably going to come on, and those first couple of weeks are just going to be do what you've always done, track the best you can. Let's see what you normally eat. Then we'll make adjustments from there. It's this when people get this perception that they're going to have to like drastically change everything and overhaul their life. That's when they can sort of maybe even talk themselves out of coming on board with a coach because they think I'm not going to be able to handle this. Well, that's not what we're asking. So I think what you're saying is exactly the same thing, is that you're saying what's like the smallest victory we can take to make progress. Then we check that box, like you said, and then you move on to the next thing. And over time, you look back after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you're like, look at all the stuff we've done. Look at where you're at, right? It felt like little things at the time, but now you zoom out and you got this big picture of what looks like an incredible transformation, right? So I think that's kind of what you're hinting at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so boring, right? Everything you just said, it's so wicked boring. There's nothing interesting about like doing this well. And that's the problem. You can't bottle this and sell it to, 10.99. It's like, no, it's looking at these small habits and making changes to them.
Right.
And that's right. You don't have to overhaul your food today, but maybe 6 months from now you do eat differently because you know differently.
If someone's with you and they get to a point where, like you said, you kind of hinted at this in your explanation, the scale's not moving, right? And they're frustrated. What's your advice to them at that point? Because I know that comes up a lot. I haven't had any progress this week.
Absolutely. I always try to preempt those conversations with, hey, this is going to happen, right? There is no way this doesn't happen. There's a variety of reasons it does, right? So maybe we took a more loose approach, food photos or a loose tracking approach, and we get to the point where progress slows down. And I try to preempt that conversation with, hey, at some point we might find progress slows and we've got to find areas to tighten this up, right? These are some areas I'm already seeing. You don't have to stress about it now, but down the road, when I revisit it, I want you to remember that I mentioned this. And then the other thing is, everybody loses focus in a diet at some point, right? You don't have endless willpower. It's a finite resource. At some point, you're going to start, I have a little extra handful of M&Ms here. I put a little extra creamer in my coffee. Oof, don't do that. But, creamer there, whatever it is. And now it's like, okay, we've got to be honest with ourselves and identify where we're willing to start to tighten that stuff up. Or the flip side, do we need to take a moment of not losing weight to kind of establish this new baseline? I think we go into a deficit thinking, I lose this weight now or I never lose it, right? I've got one chance at this. You could lose 15, 20 pounds. That's substantial. That's a lot of work. You can take a moment to reset, to find that baseline, and then lose another 15 to 20 in a couple of months. Like there's no rule that says you've got to do this all at one time.
For sure.
So at this point in your career, you've probably seen hundreds of clients and their like initial food logs, right? One of the things we know that clients usually, the food logs they tell us when they come in is not exactly representative, right? They're always like trying to make it look good for the coach. It's like when you go to the doctor and they're like, oh, how many drinks do you have a week? And you tell them one, and the doctor's like, I know you drink 6 days a week. It's fine. But I think one of the interesting things that people maybe who haven't coached people at scale is the food logs that we see from clients are not what like social media / the internet thinks, right? Like I think a lot of people, as they read stuff, they're like, oh, the average person who's, got 20, 30 pounds to lose, like is going to McDonald's every day. They're just eating terrible. It's like, it's all this stuff. It's like, that's not the reality. And I think what most people struggle with is, at least what I've seen, is one, it's usually the result of decades of just not paying attention, right? And two, it's just not having a good sense of like what is in the food they're consuming, right? It's most people don't have I go to the fast food 7 days a week problem. I'm, doing all this crazy stuff. I mean, there are some people who have that issue, but for the most part, it's really just like helping people develop some literacy around what they're eating and like developing habits to consistently do things the right way.
No, I would agree with that. I have this conversation in consults all the time because you're talking to someone, it's a very vulnerable moment, right? We're talking about kind of why they want to lose weight, where the gain came from, what that's looked like. And usually it is, yeah, over the last 5 years, or even over the last year, my scales come up 4 to 5 pounds. And usually it's a conversation of how small of a quote, heavy quotes, overeating that truly is, right? So I always clarify, look, I don't think you're out there eating, XYZ all day, every day, overeating in the thousands of calories range. We're talking the hundreds of calories, just these little things here and there that we have to get control of. Or it's the flip side, it's like, their movement has come down dramatically over the last 5 years, which is arguably probably more common of something I see. They get more sedentary, they're in the car more, they've got this big promotion at work, whatever it is. So now they're moving less. It's like, you cost yourself a few hundred calories a day. It's not a lot, but over the year, it does add up. And if we can address that, man, maintenance in the future becomes easier for you. And now you have this tool in your toolbox. If things get more sedentary for you, where you need to put your focus again.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that goes unnoticed is the change in physical activity.
Yeah, I think people look at it as, at least in my experience, of I'm still exercising 5 days a week, right? I have this gym routine that I've been doing forever, and it's not that, right? Like, I understand you're working hard in the gym. I believe you. I'm not questioning that at all. But when you drop from, you used to get 12,000 steps per day when you were in college, and now it's 6, that's substantial. It makes a huge difference in your life over the long term.
What do you think separates, or things, I should say, if you had to boil it down to one or a few things, separates people that, like, the people that are successful long term versus the people that struggle?
I think people struggle the most when they have that black and white mindset, this good and bad, this all or nothing. I didn't get my steps in, there's no point, right? So for example, this week I had a day with a ton of calls and I put myself in a cut this week. So that's not a great day, right? I ended up getting 0 steps approximately. And you can take that mentally as, well, the week's kind of shot, right? I'm 5 foot tall, 0 steps. That's a pretty heavy cost right there. But instead, you've got to be like, no, tomorrow I will just get back to my normal movement. I don't have to autocorrect this. Food's the same way, right? You're going to go out to eat. You're going to go on a trip. You're going to enjoy food. You should. That's the purpose, right? You absolutely should. You don't have to punish yourself on the other side. It doesn't have to be a big deal, right? It can just be, I enjoyed dinner with my family and today I'm going back to my normal eating and nothing happens. Literally nothing. It's so boring.
Yeah. And the thing that I noticed so kind of in my opinion, in my experience, when I don't coach people anymore, but when I did, the thing that I always would boil it down to and really say, here's the thing that the successful people have in common that the other ones didn't have. It wasn't anything physical. It was almost entirely like their mindset about it. Because it mindset encompasses your attitude, how much, effort and time you're willing to put into it, your view on things, whether something that happened is a complete failure and I'm going to give up, or it's a learning opportunity and I'm going to learn from it and keep going. It's all mindset stuff. Right. And so it wasn't that, yes, some people are, genetics do play a role, and like your age definitely play, like all that stuff. I'm not saying is not a factor, but wouldn't you like, do you see it as a mindset thing as well, where really it comes down to just what you believe up here and what you're willing to do?
Absolutely. I think, and some of that maybe is a little bit genetic or environmental too, where you're just predisposed for whatever reason to having a more, I'll use the word negative view, although maybe I didn't want that strong of a word there, having a more negative view towards these things, or you kind of always mentally go to that dark place of, I'm not somebody that can do this. I've never been successful. I won't ever be successful. But you talk to people and you can kind of tell their mindset is one of that, like, this person will not be denied, right? They will consistently show up until they're successful. It's so impressive to watch, right? You just have somebody that consistently shows up. And that is something that I do try to coach too, to those that maybe struggle with that mindset and fall into the darkness, or the lows get really, really low. And I'm big on, we've got to find a neutral, right? Like we can celebrate the highs for sure. But we can't fall so deep into the lows that we're suffering for weeks on end.
Yeah. Yeah. One sort of follow-up question to that. So one of the things that before people become a client with us, one of the concerns, and I know you've heard this too, but that a lot of people have is, I've tried so many different things before and they've all failed. So like, how is this going to be any different? That's a real hurdle that people have before they even come on. And even after they've come on and they've met with you, how do you sort of squash that concern that like, how do I know this is going to work? Right. Everything I've done so far hasn't. How's this going to be any different?
Imagine, you don't ever know anything's going to work, right? And that's not I mean, it just is, right? Like, but that can't be the reason you don't try. I mean, you've got to quote fail at things, and you can continue to show up and try at the same time, right? Like the only way to fail is to quit, right? And maybe all the things you've tried previously would have worked if we kept going, kind of deal. Or maybe you're trying something crazy that wasn't sustainable, right? You're doing some crazy named diet, and that wasn't sustainable to you, and that's fine. But you didn't fail if you're here and you're asking for further help and you're asking further questions and further knowledge and you're trying again. You inherently have not failed. You just have the word failure in your head.
I was hoping that your answer was going to be, I'm your coach, Britney. You're not going to fail with me. Like, it's as simple as that.
Yeah. That.
I mean, depending on the client, the other answer is, yeah, you're right. You have no hope. Like you're just doomed to have a terrible life. Right. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, no, but when you tell yourself these things, like
it doesn't sound
the
very
only
good.
other option. Right. And like, you don't want that option. So like, what other choice do we have other than to like, let's just keep going?
That's a really good point though too, Brad, because I think if you say that to someone, like it sounds way different coming from someone else than it does yourself. Yeah. And you wouldn't tolerate that from someone else. You'd be like, I don't like the sound of that. Well, then why do you tell yourself that? So say it to them, say it back to them. I think that's a really good point.
It very much depends on your relationship with the client.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
But like,
of course. I think that's a powerful example that you're bringing up though. I have some, well, Brad, I'll give you if there's anything else you want to ask Britney. I have some more kind of personal / Britney's opinions and preferences types of questions, but we can get to you first if you have other ones you want to ask.
I think one of the things that's not talked about enough in our profession is what it's like to actually be on the other side of coaching. What is it that you think is your biggest struggle as a coach?
One thing I've personally struggled with, probably most women my age who grew up in the 90s did, was, hearing so much conversation about weight and about looks and all of these things. So how that's impacted me in my coaching life and how I've struggled as a coach is being in this industry. That's what I talk about all the time, right? And when I'm not working, that's what I talk about all the time, because that's what people want to talk to you about. And ways I've worked around that, and maybe this isn't the direction this question was supposed to go, but anyway, it's going. Ways I've worked around that is, I've curated my social media, right? I don't follow anything that makes me question things. I've been very cognizant and intentional about self-talk and the environment that I put myself in, right? You will not any longer catch me nitpicking myself and things like that. And that's something I work with clients on too, right? Like at some point, that mentality becomes a choice that you're buying into. Like you can want to change yourself and not hate yourself at the same time. And you probably should, because you're probably not going to hate yourself into better. It probably doesn't work that way. I always phrase it this way. Like, do you want to be 80 years old and still having this conversation? Because I sure as heck don't, right? Like I want to be out there living and enjoying life. So I think some of it is setting yourself up to be able to do that and achieve. I mean, you can still achieve things that you want at the same time. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
I do have one other question actually related to coaching. I take that back. Is there a type of client just in general that you work with, like more than, for example, maybe a lot of, like I know a lot of women who are struggling during menopause they ask for Coach Catherine, for example. That's a well-known thing. So she likes working with those types of people. Do you have any clientele like that where there's a common, these types of people come to work with me and I really enjoy this type of, or is it just kind of, I work with, everybody. And to be clear, I know we do work with everybody, but is there a specific like type of person that comes to you in general and says, I want to work with Britney?
The most exciting client I get is when they're from Buffalo because we have football to talk about the whole time, but that was not the purpose of this question.
Or the fact that it smells like Cheerios.
Sometimes it does. What a fabulous bonus.
That's a real, so that's a real thing. I know they have like a plant there, but it will, you're telling me there's times you'll go outside and it can literally smell like Cheerios outside. That's
yes.
Somebody in our group like 5 years ago sent me, because people knew that I was obsessed with Cheerios, just like regular plain Cheerios. They sent me a shirt and I have it. It says my city smells like Cheerios.
That's crazy.
It's a real thing. I'm going to really answer your question now though. So being here, I certainly work with everyone. And, I think to be a great coach, you need to have some chameleon attributes to you, right? So conversations with different people look differently, right? Like someone might watch this video and be like, that's not even the Britney I know, right? And it's not because, I'm fake in any way. It's like, oh no, there's just different sides, right? So some people need to be met with a little bit more energy and push and aggression and like, hey, you've got to do this kind of thing. What are you doing? And some people need to be met with a little bit more, a little softer approach too of, right, and let's look at this together, a little bit of a combined approach. Some people want to be told what to do. Some people want to work with you. But as for a favorite or preferred type of client, I don't think it falls into any category of age or sex or even goals. It's somebody that wants to change their lives and that's willing to show up for themselves, right? That's open to conversation. I don't mind clients asking me a million questions. Question everything I say. That's great, right? Because it makes me think a little bit deeper. So I love a client like that that's just constantly like, hey, why? What is this? Why? Because I think that shows they're really engaged in the process, and that's really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell that you clearly love your job. You enjoy doing what you do. And that's one of the big reasons I think why you're successful with people. Are you, not to put you on the spot or put any pressure here, but do you have openings right now? Or are you currently accepting clients?
I could take a client or two. I don't really have a lot of opening though.
Okay. I just had to ask. So,
no,
hey,
Dylan, she will not take you as a client.
I've never said no to anyone before. I'm kind of a people pleaser in that way. So
well, for anyone currently watching, Britney has a couple of spots if you want to snag a spot with her. I'd highly recommend joining her. She's, as you can tell, knows what she's talking about. I have some. Brad, do you have anything else first that you want to ask? That's okay. Because
it's always the Wild West when Dylan asks random questions. It is. So we'll see what he has prepared for you.
But see, here's the thing. I like to get to know people. I think it's fun, like let's find out a little bit more about who you are and what your preferences are, right? So I think yes, these are going to be random questions, but I'm gonna throw something totally out of left field. Brad's gonna shake his head. Do you think we're alone in the universe?
Do I think there's aliens?
Yeah. Do you think we're alone?
I mean, Dylan's here, so.
Is that why it wasn't phrased like that? Did I just out you? I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Internet, erase this.
You're probably the last one to know, so. Yeah.
This is always the last to know, man. That's one thing about me. I'm out of every loop. I don't see how we can be the only ones. It doesn't make sense to me, right? You look up and you're like, wow, lots of other universes out there. Someone else must be out there, right? Yeah.
What are some of your other interests? Like, do you for example, like astronomy and space? Like, do you like that kind of stuff, or like, what are Britney's interests outside of this?
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about astronomy or space. Okay. I just threw words out there that sounded fancy. Did it work though? It
sounded like you might be interested in that field. So good job.
Legit, that's awesome. No, I don't know anything about that. I'll look at the sky though, if that counts. And I think I have an app on my phone, Starfinder. But anyway, interest. I do like being outside. I love all sorts of animals and wildlife and things. I've recently gotten into backpacking, so sleeping in the woods and living like that has been kind of fun. I have a bunch of chickens in my yard and I try to garden. So I pretend to homestead, but I'm not very successful at the gardening part of that. And I like to read. I'm a pretty low key person.
Is there you got a favorite food at all? Like if there's a food you could eat, is there a food you could eat every day because you enjoy it so much?
Yeah, this is my deathbed food would be a really good bagel with salmon and cream cheese, but it has to be really good, right? Like it can't be a bad one. It has to be really good.
I feel like New York is the capital of bagels.
There's no good ones here in North Carolina. It's not North Carolina.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
It's terrible. When I go to cities, that's what I eat. That's it.
Just bagels.
Yeah, 24/7. That's all I care about. Yeah.
What flavor bagel do you get?
It's everything. Occasionally sesame if I don't want to taste onion for the entire day.
Okay.
Yeah. We have everything bagels in our house, and while they taste delicious, God, they're a mess.
They are a mess. 100%.
Yes.
Like
true.
Every once in a while I tell my wife, I'm like, we have to just buy onion bagels because I can't continue to clean up the kitchen every time we make a bagel. It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Now imagine 3 or 4 kids rummaging through your everything bagels to make them themselves, and you go in the pantry. It's like, what the hell just happened? Like it's like the floor. I need a broom. So are you an early bird, a night owl, or somewhere in between? Well, actually, no. I think you might already answer because you mentioned being asleep at midnight, so maybe you're not a night owl. But are you a morning person?
I'm a morning person. I'm up and working between 4:30 and 5 every morning.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't do past like 8 p.m. It's my witching hour. I'm done. Like you don't need to see me. I'm good.
What's is there a movie you'll always watch? Like give me your top favorite movies.
This is a bad question. I can't sit still long enough to watch a movie. I
can't
even tell you the last movie I watched. No,
wow.
I'm really fidgety.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I can't watch a movie.
Wow.
I'm convinced that one of my superpowers in life is fidgeting.
Oh my gosh, so fidgety.
Like, I probably burn an extra 300 to 400 calories a day just fidgeting.
I get distracted too. I'm like, oh, I could go over here and do something. Like you'd have to lock me down to watch a movie. Yeah, I can't do it.
What's if you could instantly master a skill, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I think I asked a similar question in one of my team meetings. I make them answer like an icebreaker because I'm kind of mean like that. And what I came up with was I'd like to speak all languages, right? Like, so I'd like to get really good at learning languages. I can't speak another language, just FYI, but I would like to be really good at learning them.
Beach or mountains?
Oddly, mountains, even though I live at the beach.
You just got back from, well, maybe not just got back from Banff, right?
Yeah, we went to the Canadian Rockies and did some backpacking, actually. Yeah, we saw caribou, which was amazing.
Who's we?
Oh, my husband and I. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Husband, Dan. Yeah, I make him do these things with me.
The whole time you were there, were you thinking to yourself the phrase from Dumb and Dumber, where it's like, Rockies, that John Denver was full of it?
I did not think that once.
I was going to say, she probably did not think that, Brad.
Maybe next time.
Favorite music? What kind of music you listen to?
I mostly listen to, I guess classic rock is from, I'm trying to think of my Spotify Wrapped, right? So my listening age was like 68 or something. So there's that. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, mostly classic rock. I do like Taylor Swift, so I'll listen to some Taylor Swift too. That's about it. Mostly podcast outside of that.
Tell us about your rodeo days.
Oh yes. Yeah. No, you go ahead.
It took you 43 minutes and 38 seconds to ask that.
That's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, but I felt like we should get through the regularly scheduled program.
It was a long gap. I was like waiting. I'm ready. I rodeoed. I barrel raced and I pole bending. Why are these names so ridiculous? I have goat tied. I have roped. I rode a bull once. That was a weird choice, but I'd do it again.
That was a weird choice.
I make a lot of those weird choices. I competed all over the country. Fun times. Yeah.
What was your favorite event?
My horse was best at pole bending. So you always like what you're best at, right? We like set arena records and things. So yeah, probably that.
What is pole bending? I've been to a bunch of rodeos and I've never seen pole bending. It must be like
it's not all that popular like on the national circuit, but in the high school circuit it is. You run down a line of 6 poles and then you weave between them and then you turn around and weave back and then you run back on a horse. I didn't do any running.
We have some comments that I wanted to share with you. This is kind of funny. So Adam Hughes, we were talking about coaching. He said some people just ghost their coach too.
Why? Where is he? What is he doing?
We never know.
No, you don't know. And then he said, but he did say, you're an incredible coach. She knows when I'm being a shit show and traveling a lot and just lets me do my thing. When I get back and focus, she's there supporting and encouraging me. So there you go. Some good some
hi, Adam. I'm glad you're alive. I've been legitimately concerned.
He's like you know, the whole, you remember the show where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? It's like, where in the world is Adam Hughes? He could be.
I'm just expecting him to show up at my house one day randomly.
He probably will. Stuart says, ask Britt for her London coffee recommendations. Because I'm going there in a couple weeks, so he wants me to ask you what.
I will send you his map of where you can get good coffees. It's legit.
Okay.
Like, there's an entire map he made of coffee shops that he recommends in London. So no matter where you are, you can get a coffee. Okay. Yeah, it's brilliant.
You'll have to send me that because I do go there in a couple of weeks now. Adam also says, question for Britt: where did you originally kick off? Oh, I just lost it. Where did you originally kick off your powerlifting and coaching journey?
I started powerlifting long after I started coaching, actually, and started lifting. People always told me I should compete, and I was like, that kind of sounds boring, you know? And then I did, and then it became my whole life. So there you have it. But I originally started training in the same Anytime Fitness that I started working out as. I started coaching there, and then I didn't start powerlifting until I got to North Carolina, maybe 7-8 years ago. Yeah.
We have someone that commented, as a fellow equestrian, rodeo is actually mental.
Oh, well, I mean, if you know me, that tracks. If there's extreme things, I'm doing them. That's it.
It's just so wild to me that at some point in human history, somebody looked at like 1,000-pound bull and was like, you know what? I bet I could sit on it for 8 seconds.
So,
and why did they choose 8? Why not 7? Why not 9? I don't know.
2 things. That reminds me. Now you said you're too fidgety for movies, but this is an old one. When you were well, I guess I don't know how old you are. Maybe this was before your time. But the movie 8
Well,
Seconds.
Apparently she's 68.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Remember the movie 8? The movie 8 Seconds. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the only.
This is my answer to every "Did you see this movie?" question. Okay. It's terrible. People hate me for it. I'm the worst.
Would you do the running of the bulls if you had the chance?
I mean, I don't know. You get me in a situation with adrenaline, and I'm really bad. Like, my self-preservation is not very good in those situations. I'm also very competitive. So Brad, I would say no now, but give me there.
Would you chase that cheese wheel down the mountain?
What?
Have you seen that race that they do every year?
Yeah, I have.
It's
Isn't that in like Switzerland or something?
There's like this big hill, and all these people line up at the top, and they roll a cheese wheel down it, and people run after it to try to catch it. And if you catch it, you get to keep it, but like, it's so bad.
You get a bunch of cheese. That's your prize.
Yeah, or some broken clavicles and ribs and back. Those are the 2 outcomes.
Yeah. Brad, would you run with the bulls?
Of those.
No.
What if someone said, "Here's 10 grand cash, go run with the bulls"? Would you do it?
No.
What's your asking price?
Like $5 million. Have you ever been? I don't think you've ever been near a bull.
I mean, not like standing next to one, but have I been near one? Yes.
No.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I mean, it does look scary, but also just like it's, I don't know. I always thought it like you said, Brittany, it's the adrenaline situation. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah,
it's sort of the same.
People.
It's like the same thing with skydiving. I'm sort of like, okay, you get like a couple minutes of adrenaline rush, but if it goes bad, that's it.
Yeah.
But you don't really know because then it's over, you know? You don't really know about that.
Yeah, like life is kind of fun. I'd kind of like to keep living, you know? Like there's a lot of things I still would like to do.
This is fair. I have a client that she's like a professional skydiver. Shout out to her. It's so cool. She's like, I want to do this move in the air. And I'm like, that's wild. I think it's awesome.
Well, they do say you don't need a parachute to skydive. You only need one if you want to skydive a second time. So
there was she a flight attendant or some lady who fell from like 30,000 feet in a plane and she survived?
Yep, I know exactly. I can't think of her name. But it's exactly. Yeah, it was like 35,000 some feet. She holds the record for longest free fall, and she survived. And I can't remember if she hit like trees or if it was like, I mean, she obviously landed. It wasn't flat on the ground, but something broke her fall enough to where she survived.
Well, I think at some point it's like once you hit terminal velocity.
And I was just going to say, what is terminal velocity? Isn't it a couple hundred, 200?
Yeah, I think it's like maybe it's like 140 miles an hour for the average.
It's still a lot. It's like you'd think that even if I hit something to break my fall, I'm going to die, but she didn't. It's wild.
Okay, I was actually pretty close.
150?
Typically around 120 miles an hour in a stable belly to earth fall, but can increase to 150 to 200 miles an hour or more in a head down or streamline dive.
Okay.
Good pro tips for if you ever fall out of a plane, you know, belly first.
Dylan,
have you ever gone skydiving?
I've not. I don't even know if I've really had the opportunity to. I'm not opposed to it. It's just the opportunity's never really come up.
I did once. 1,500 feet. You should do it. Yeah, it was fun.
1,500 feet is the altitude where you reach terminal velocity.
Okay. So basically, if that's happening to you, spread out, belly down, try to find something to land on.
Pretend you have a squirrel suit on, I guess.
Yeah.
Pro tips for anyone watching. Yeah.
Squirrels can survive falls at their terminal velocity, which means they can jump from any height and survive, basically.
What is it with squirrels? It's crazy. Yeah, I see them jumping around my yard. I'm like, what is going on? How do you do that?
Is there anything you like just hate that other people seem to love, and you're like, I don't get this. I hate, like, I vehemently do not like this.
Yeah, I also asked a similar question in one of my team meetings. Again, terrible icebreaker questions. Nuts in desserts. There's no reason you should have a nut in a dessert. Period.
No, so that's
not even like
pecan.
Never had a peanut, or a peanut butter parfait from Dairy Queen.
But because the crunchiness of the peanuts add nothing to this situation. Like, it's no better. Creamy. Also, peanuts are a legume, which is always my backup argument in this because I have defended my stance as if it were a thesis many times. But creamy nuts, I think, don't count. And then pecan pie is. Yeah, but it's not the best pie anyway, so just eat a different pie.
I agree with you. Whipped pecan pie, though, is different.
That I have not had, so can't attest.
Yeah, I haven't either. That sounds really interesting. I'd probably smash that. Okay, so then what's your go-to dessert?
Chocolate chip cookie right out of the oven.
That's such a great answer.
You just can't.
There might not actually be anything better than that
in the world, in the universe.
That might be the goat. That might be the goat. Like,
I'll never say no. No,
especially if it's got to be, like you said, it's got to be warm. You pull it soft, gooey, okay. Because you put 10 of those things on a plate, I'm gonna have those gone in under a minute. So 10. I think that's
no worries. So good.
That's such a solid answer. Adam said, next Backers Inc. meetup, bull riding and skydiving. I think Brad would veto that one.
Hey, you guys can do whatever you want. I'm not going.
Yeah.
He's just watching from the side, like, those idiots. What are they doing?
Yeah. Hey, how come payroll didn't process this month? Brad died in a bull riding skydiving accident. He was doing both at the same time. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Almond croissant. Oh, pecan. What?
No, you would have a chocolate croissant. Why would you have an almond one?
I don't know. This is coming from Stuart. He says pecan pie ? So I don't know if he Stuart, have you never had pecan pie? Why are you saying it like that? And then almond croissants. Like, I don't understand what you're saying. Of course, I don't know if that's actually a thing over in Ireland, but we'll see. I will see what he says. I don't know. Have you had a good time on the show, Brittany?
Great time. It was fun.
I don't have any other questions. I mean, I could keep going with questions, but they're just going to be random and wild. So I feel like I've gotten my fill.
Even more.
Yeah. I don't want to make them any worse, but I feel like I've gotten my fill. Is there anything else you would want to add, or is there anything else that you'd want people to know, or anything else you want to say to someone who might be listening?
I don't think I have anything to add. I mean, thanks for listening. It's been fun. Watch the other ones because there's some really good podcasts of this version. Yeah.
Yeah. I will end this by asking you how you think the Bills are going to fare in the postseason.
Okay, and don't hate me, Buffalo fans that watch this, but I have said many times this year that I don't know that the Bills are actually good this year. And I think it's the worst team they've put out since they were good in 2021, which is very depressing given the circumstances in the NFL right now. So I think anybody can win this year, and I think anybody can lose this year. It's a very interesting time in the playoffs.
The fact that they're not doing all that well when Mahomes isn't in it, when Jackson isn't in it, like that was like the opportunity, right?
It's a bummer, but yeah, definitely the worst team they've fielded since 21-21. So
don't feel too bad. I'm right there with you in terms of existential pain, because being from Minnesota, I'm a huge Vikings fan, and we don't have any.
Oh, it's like the same franchise.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're the same, but one's 100%. In the NFC and one's in the AFC. It's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. They're the same team.
That's all I got. So, Adam says not the Vikings though. They can't win. Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been a great year for us. Brad's getting pissed because we're talking about football instead of basketball. If this was basketball, Brad would be all about it.
I can't tell you a single thing about basketball. I don't relate. They're so tall, like everyone can dunk.
That's true. Gosh. Imagine her standing next to someone like Kevin Garnett or Shaquille
I'm a different species. It doesn't make any sense.
What? I do think it's wild that we have 7'5" tall humans and like fully grown adults who are like 4'8", and you're just like, this is so crazy.
How did this happen? No, I know. I think about this frequently when I'm standing. Anybody over 6'2", I'm like, that's kind of a weird level of tall, I'm like, what is going on with that?
Who was the tallest basketball? Was it Yao Ming, Brad? Is he the tallest to ever play in the NBA? I can't think of who.
No, I think he was 7'3". I think Wembanyama might. No, I think there was somebody who was 7'7".
Jesus, that's crazy. Who was that? Now I gotta find out.
It was Manute Bol. He was 7'7".
Never heard of him. That's wild though. 7'7".
Random
That's
fact
wildly
about
inconvenient.
him.
Imagine being that tall. How do you exist in the world?
No.
Yeah.
Imagine being on a plane.
No.
Imagine being in a car.
No.
Like how are you gonna do any of that?
That's the thing about being short. I fit everywhere. I'm sitting crisscross in an airplane.
You probably don't even need to get, somebody can just put you in their luggage and you get a free airplane.
I can have a child seat or whatever.
Wow.
I have no qualms about being short. It's worked out real well for me in my life.
Yeah. I can't.
It's better than being 7'7", because what do you do?
For sure.
At least you can in a doorway. I never duck.
Yeah. That's a good.
My wife's like 5'3", and I always make the joke of, it's crazy to me that you have to pay full price for clothes because they're like half size of everybody else's clothes. You guys should
price is based on
your shoes should be cheaper.
I'm
less
with
material.
It.
That's
right
true.
On that platform. You got my vote.
Yeah. All right. Well, this show has officially degraded into.
I'm a bad guest for that.
but seriously, I had a lot of fun. So thanks for coming on. It was great, and we can do this again in the future. We're gonna have some additional coaches on in the coming weeks. So this will be kind of an ongoing theme. But great to get to know more about you, Britney. Appreciate you being on, and like I said, hope you had a great time. And if anybody wants to work with Britney, she said she's got a couple of spots open. So you might want to hurry. So, all right. Well, if you don't have anything else, I will do our lovely outro music we can all dance to, and we'll be outie. So thank you, Britney.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Till next time. Adios.